Hey everybody, welcome. This is Jared from ZEN Hustlers. We are an online resource site for entrepreneurs and business people and founders to find balance on the edge. People who are very highly productive, consider themselves a hustler, but then also are seeking some balance in their life, that something might feel not in balance. Maybe it's family, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's fitness, maybe it's something personally going on, and they want to kind of find that balance point again. So that came out of my own personal journey. I wanted to share it back with other professionals and founders and entrepreneurs. I also run a company called Brickhouse Media, the parent company of ZEN Hustlers. And we encourage you to go to the site, explore it, offer some feedback, join our communitas that we call, and learn more about it. Today, I'm really excited to connect with someone, Julie Rose. She is someone I found on Facebook initially, and then we connected and spoke and got to know each other a little bit better. She's a traveler, a nomad, working remotely around the country right now. And I'm really excited to explore her journey and how she got to this point as a single woman, traveling in the US, working remotely as a nomad. So without further ado, welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion with you and connect with some of your followers. So appreciate the conversation.
Great. So where in the world are you today?
I am in Fayetteville, Arkansas, in a country house, actually. It's my first time here in Arkansas, spending the winter in the southeast, trying to stay warm, just kind of exploring. So seeing what the southeast has to offer.
Great. And how long now have you been traveling that you consider you're on the road as a nomad?
Gee, so since September 4th. September 4th was the
Okay.
day that I left my house. I drove away and never looked back, left it completely empty for the new owners, and have just been kind of traveling ever since.
Now, was that a house you owned or rented?
I owned that house, so it was definitely a big move to put it out on the market, wait for a buyer, which actually happened really quickly, and then offload everything that I had collected over my entire life, basically, which really was a lot. But I did it in 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. So
Wow.
I think we can do anything when we put our minds to it.
And
Even
what city in the country was that in?
that was in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
I had lived there for 11 years and just sort of felt like my life seemed a little stale. I had felt I had maybe met my expiration date in Phoenix, seen so
Mhm.
much of the state, experienced so much that it had to offer, and I still really enjoy it there. But I think we all need a shakeup, and that's really what I was looking to accomplish.
So let's dive into that a little bit. So what were you doing that you got indicators? What were the indicators that you were doing that said, like, I'm getting a little stale and I need a shake up? And what does that shake up maybe look like?
Well, I think it was exacerbated by the pandemic, right? Some of those indicators, I think, how comfortable are you? Are you too comfortable? Do you have the same day? Are you reliving the same day over and over again? And I kind of just woke up one day this summer and it was 118 degrees outside, and my dog hadn't been outside for ages because it's so hot. And everything was kind of shut down. I couldn't even go to the gym. Arizona had it really bad for a period this summer. And I just felt like, why am I here? I The pandemic has made things worse, obviously, but even before then I was definitely extra comfortable. And I just wanted to shake out of my comfort zone and see, you never want to be complacent. And I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to be in a unique, maybe uncomfortable situation, because I think those are the situations where you really allow yourself to grow and become stronger and more resilient. And I felt like it was time for me to do that.
Where were you getting some of these ideas of it was time to be stronger and resilient? Are these mentors, books, podcasts? Like, where are you getting some of this messaging? Because I'm hearing that in different spheres of social media and media, but where are you specifically getting some of that messaging from?
I don't know. I think honestly, it was something that I was feeling internally, that when I would go on trips, I would just feel like so exhilarated and interested. And there were all these things that I was doing, and I was able to just achieve more and be, you know, be better, almost come to life a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And then when I would come back home to Phoenix and kind of settle into my routine, then I just realized like I wasn't challenging myself. I wasn't getting out there. I wasn't, you know, meeting my potential every single day. And, you know, to me, I just felt like if I'm this person when I'm out there and I'm this person when I'm home, who do I like more?
Mm.
And what do I have to do to change that? And to me, it just felt like that, you know, the answer was right in front of my face. It's just going to take a little, it's going to take some major decisions and some major actions to get there. And it was worth it to me to take all that on.
Got it. Thank you. And so tell me a little bit about your work generally. How do you manage doing your work? I mean, a lot of us are working remotely. We have a full, work from home resource site on Zen Hustlers.
Mhm.
But when your office is completely remote and moving, it's a moving target. How are you doing that? And what type of work do you do?
Yeah, so I work remotely for a national healthcare system in social media. And so I serve teammates that really are across the United States. And working remotely really suits my role. It suits obviously the duties and responsibilities. Social media is all online. It can be done, you know, at the click of a couple fingers, and really as long as you have a solid internet connection, you're good. So functionally, it can be done, and then also, you know, suits my personality. I've always been sort of, you know, a go-getter who can set my own schedule and keep productive. And you know, I think it requires some discipline and requires some habit forming, but I've been doing it honestly for a long time, even before the pandemic. So I feel like I've gotten it pretty down.
Skill was honed in you prior to trying to do this. So you had the discipline, you said, you had a little
Yeah.
bit of the training and the kind of mentality that has to go along with working remotely prior to all of this. So I would say you were in a really good position when this happened. A lot of people were caught off guard completely. They'd never worked from
Totally.
home. They'd never worked remotely. They'd never spent this much time with friends, families, roommates. And so we've had to offer a lot of support and empathy for people that like, this is so new. So I would say you were well ahead of the curve. And I think that might have helped you kind of step into some of these challenging choices that you made.
Well, and it was, I mean, I developed a groove where I would wake up and I would go to my office and I would work. But then at the end of the day, I was like, okay, now's my time to go to the gym, to get out, to see my friends, to, you know, take the dog to the dog park, that kind of thing. And I still had to make, you know, we all had to make some sort of sacrifice when this happened, that your schedule's changing, and can you adapt to it? And can you, you know, cut out the distractions and focus when you're at work? And then when it's your playtime, can you stop with the work and try to figure out how to be productive in some way, or use your free time in some way? And, you know, that's where I struggled is, gosh, that was my time for my exercise therapy. This was my time to see my friends, and now I'm locked at home and I'm just drinking wine and sitting on the couch and watching garbage on rally TV. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, to me that just I wanted more than that. I wanted to do something, you know, more productive and fulfilling.
Was there an aha moment that you had? Was there one moment of like, okay, enough? Was there any
Yeah.
kind of experience that you went through? Tell me about that.
Actually, yes, exactly. I think I woke up on a Wednesday and I kind of remember it clearly. That the day that it was really hot, and you know, I
Oh yeah,
couldn't
that's right.
do anything in AZ. And then I just thought, well, if I, you know, at this job I can work from anywhere.
Mhm.
Why do I live in Phoenix? If two, you know, somehow I lose this employment, also wouldn't have to be in Phoenix. And yeah, I think three, if those things happen, or um, you know, if I got a different job, well, chances are it wouldn't be located in Phoenix. So common denominator living in Phoenix. And I realized it was more an inhibitor than an asset for me. And I didn't want to be inhibited anymore. And just literally called my boss and said, hey, I got a proposal for you. And luckily my bosses were really supportive and gave me their blessing.
Did you consider just moving somewhere else versus going nomadically? So walk me through that idea. And were you going to like live in a van? How do you do the nomad life? I want to hear a little bit of the details of it.
I'm not sure where I'd want to live. I think the idea is, yeah, sure, maybe at some point I'm going to settle down again because, you know, you do need a real address in this country. You need to have certain things.
Mhm.
But if I have the opportunity to travel for a while and figure it out, I'm going to do that. You know, I think I sold my house. I have some money now to put as a down payment wherever I do find that perfect place. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to enjoy this time period to see, you know, where do I fall in love with? What cities or climates or um, cultural things, like what excites me and checks the boxes. And I have like my short list of the different things that I definitely want to experience and that I would like to have as part of my day to day.
Mhm.
But you know, I'm not tied down by anything. I only have a dog to contend with. So I might as well just take this year-ish to make it to all 50 states and then say that, you know, I went everywhere and these are the places that really spoke to me. To your second question, where am I staying? How am I navigating
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
So I considered van life. I considered something like an RV, but again, that's like a big investment and a big commitment. And like, oh, I have to purchase something or I have to build something or, you know, and that was just too much where I'm trying to like not be committed to anything right now.
yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really want to go that far. So I have, I load up my SUV in between stays. I just rent Airbnbs. And so far that has worked for me.
Are you reaching out to more people virtually on the phone more? Are you finding that you still crave that social connection?
Yes, I do. I and it's a different time right now than normally when I travel because normally when I travel and things are normal, I have no problem meeting people.
Yeah,
I go out to dinner by myself or you know breweries or whatever, and I make friends.
yeah.
And that's been my previous history. So I think there was a measure before, you know, we're filming this early December, and I think maybe 2 months ago it looked like things were getting better, and people
Yeah,
were still out in public and sort of socializing at a distance. But
yeah.
um, it will be interesting to see how December looks, you know, especially since it's time for the holidays, and we are coming into this time where things are worse. So it might be a little bit of a lonely month for me, or you know, I might be just kind of like digging deep within and being introspective and doing a lot of writing and doing a lot of thoughtful reflection and that kind of thing. And that's okay because you know your social life ebbs and flows, and I'm okay with a period like this because I know at the flip side I'm gonna just go out there and make tons of friends and meet lots of people and look forward to that.
How are you making decisions about where to go?
uh, um, Part of it is where haven't I been,
Okay.
and I've heard good things about. Part of it is what is going to be fairly good weather.
Mhm.
And that's it. Well, I guess that's probably it. I'm trying to chase the sunshine, and I'm also trying to experience things that I haven't been before. Although I do think I'm gonna come back to some favorites, like Nashville. I love Nashville when I was there last. A little
I'm
bit of
imagining like
new and
a
old.
virtual map and you're throwing a virtual dart and you're looking for sun. Hopefully, you know, obviously you're looking south as far as the US. Do you plan on leaving the country at all?
Maybe. I would definitely like to. I think it's a matter of would this, you know, is it a workcation or a vacation? And And also, what's the situation like in the other country? So TBD.
Got it. So we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor, who sponsors our podcast. So we'll be right back in 1 sec.
Here at PitchUp, we built a teleprompter because we weren't happy with the quality of the products out there in the market. Given the current technology environment, so many different devices out there, we just chose to build a web-based application instead of having you download and update an app. This way we can keep consistently updating the key features of our product. We simply wanted to make it easy for someone to be able to open up a web browser on their iPad or a tablet, on a computer or their phone, and be able to create and then hit studio mode to initiate the teleprompter. PitchUp developed the features of this teleprompter based on working with hundreds of busy professionals creating videos. Key features include voice activation, which the teleprompter will follow along with the sound of your voice, or auto scroll, which keeps a nice pace with the person reading the script. Other features also include a delay. Hit play on the teleprompter and then wait for it to kick back into action once you're ready for it. We also wanted to adjust the font size, so if you're reading it from far away, you can actually see the font and you can adjust from there. We have a longer demo of the PitchUp video mount, which works great with the iPad, with a tablet, smartphone, or with the professional camera. PitchUp worked with the hardware manufacturer to customize the video mount setup. We designed it so the viewers can be more engaged because of the speaker is looking directly into the camera. Reach out to us today because we know that this is going to help you create more professional videos. Thanks for watching.
All right, welcome back. And so we're talking today with Julie Rose, who's a nomad traveler, social media marketing expert, and has kind of joined the nomadic work from anywhere life. What's going on now? Like, what's some new stuff that you're discovering that wasn't there in a sedentary life?
Well, I think, one of the big takeaways that, I'm reminded of every day is that I really don't need a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I got rid of so much, I kid you not, like 95 to 98% of my things. Because I downsized from a 1,600 square foot house, 2-car garage, living alone, into basically the back of my SUV and a storage unit back in Phoenix. So it really was insane looking back on all the stuff that I had. And I swear to God, I was blacked out like the last 2 weeks trying to get ready because I don't even remember how I did it or what I had or how I got rid of it. I took a razor blade. I took a razor blade to everything I owned, and it was really cutthroat. My decision maker was, if I'm not going to use this, if I can't see myself using this within a year, it's not coming with me. Mm-hmm. And then as far as what's going into my closet, my storage unit, that was there. It was mostly like, what can't I throw away because I have to keep it for 7 years, and some knickknacks and so on for later that were only, either really meaningful or gonna have value in some way. So I think what's really crazy is that I'm still really comforted and validated by the decisions that I made. And actually in the 3 months since, there have been things that I haven't even touched yet that I keep taking with me. So I probably still have too much. And that I just think it's kind of crazy. Like as a country, as a society, as the Western world, we have just been conditioned like more and bigger and better, and that's what brings us happiness. When that's not really true. It comes from yourself, and it comes from how you spend your time. And I just feel validated by that over this journey.
Got it. They always say experiences trump things. So I think you're collecting experiences, which is really important. It really speaks a lot to the Zen mentality of how much can I pare down? How much do I really need? What's really important? What do I value? And it seems like you're getting to that point.
I really feel like I have all I need.
That's great. That's great. So talk a little bit about your schedule. So you can manage your own hours completely? Or do you have to kind of fit to a schedule in Arizona still, or somewhere else in a different time zone? Talk me through that, because you're out of a pattern, and most of us are trying to get in pattern. And it sounds like you're in new places, new time zones. So talk to me a little bit about how you juggle kind of consistency with some of your commitments.
My brain is constantly scrambled trying to decode time zones.
I'm going to send you one of
Yes,
those clocks with all the time zones.
I
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
know. Um, my my computer is in Arizona time, which is Mountain Time right now.
Mhm.
I am currently physically in Central Time, and most of my teammates are in Pacific Time.
Got it.
So it is definitely confusing. I do have to keep hours close to that. I think the company culture is no one's going to try to send you a meeting request at 4:30 p.m. or 8 a.m.
Mhm.
unless it's an emergency. So
Yeah.
that has been helpful because that's kind of on the tail end of my day. But I think, I've been able to make it work. And some days too, you just have to be flexible. If, okay, well, I got to work a little past happy hour tonight, well, then maybe I get to sleep in an extra half hour tomorrow. And that's luckily the culture that we have.
Talk to me about some of the things you do to rejuvenate and regenerate for yourself. You mentioned some things we'll share in your profile, your Zen Hustlers profile. But talk to me a little bit about some of the things you do lean on to rejuvenate yourself while you're out and about.
Well, I definitely think self-care is important, and I include exercise therapy in my self-care routine. So I'm super active, running, hiking. I also go to Orange Theory. I think what's helpful, to balance me and to remind me, that I do have a responsibility to self-care, is the fact that I have a dog, and she requires a ton of exercise, or would love a ton of exercise, and I give her moderate amount. So she kind of reminds me to get outside, to get my heart rate up, to take breaks, to stand up every once in a while. So that's part of my schedule and part of my routine. And then of course, the glass of wine and the hot bath and that kind of thing.
But what are some of the goals you're looking for? Obviously, to see new places. That's exciting.
Yeah.
But what are some of the internal things that you're hoping kind of reconcile, or experiences that you hope for during this period?
Obviously, like you mentioned, seeing the new things, challenging myself, um, you know, achieving more than I used to. And maybe that's the farthest hike I've ever done, or, conquering some sort of fear. Like, I would love to go swimming with sharks. Maybe I wouldn't love it. I would be terrified, but I would,
You're
I
willing to do
would,
it. You're willing to challenge yourself. Yeah.
yes, I want to challenge myself with situations like that. So, you're not going to be able to swim with sharks in Arizona, period. There are no sharks. So I want to see what I can do when I put my mind to it and I get out and I see these various opportunities arise. I am going to, continue to try to date safely. See if my match is anywhere on this planet. It's been slow going in that regard. I definitely want to write a book about this experience. Not just this experience and this journey, but also dig into kind of all the things that led me up until this, because this wasn't like, it was a little bit the tipping point of waking up and being like, oh my God, that was the breaking point.
Yeah.
But there were all these little steps and all these little, changes and decisions I made in the previous years, maybe voluntary or involuntary, that led me to that tipping point. And so I kind of want to share that foundation and share all of those little things that got me here. Because I think, we all can now, perhaps reading the book, whenever it's done, we can think about the moments in our life with a different light.
Yeah.
And then also not just the things that happen to you, but think about how you can make decisions every day in your life that look like small decisions, probably on the surface, but they're preparing you for something bigger and deeper and more meaningful that you'll eventually figure out later on. And we do have control of our destiny.
What would the title of the book be? Do you have any ideas? What if you had to name it? Just throw some ideas.
If you guys have any suggestions.
Yeah, okay, so let's put out a title competition, title challenge to help Julie find a title. So what are some channels where people are following you that you're active on, where you'd like people to learn more about your journey?
I am probably the most active on Instagram at
Okay.
Julie B. Rose. Content's a little different on my YouTube, a little different on my website, obviously. They all kind of tie together. So encourage you guys to check me out there. But Instagram is definitely probably the number one place to visit. So I just try to create all the formats, and then however you want to visit with me, however you want to connect, then there's a way for you to do that.
Let's pretend I am a single woman in my 30s. I'm watching this and I'm getting really inspired, but I'm afraid to take that next step. So what would you say to someone that you meet or someone virtually that's saying, it's exciting, I don't know if I can do it. So what's the hurdle do you feel like? Is it taking a small action, taking a big action, making a commitment? What do you think is the next step for people that might be considering, and male or female?
Being a nomad, having no place to call home, experiencing constant change, it's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but honestly, it is meant to be uncomfortable because that's the period that you grow.
That's the growth.
And so, they dream of living like I do, and they're so inspired, and they say, oh, there's no way I could do this. But I think it's within anyone's reach. And so one, I'll just say, the internet has made remote work possible. The pandemic has made it normal. So employers are catching wind of this. Employees are asking for it. They are loving this newfound flexibility. And so I can see that we're moving towards this. And then two, I think the whole fallacy, like you need a house and you need this American dream and you need to get a job and buy and have the white picket fence and settle down with a family and go to Disney World once a year, and that's your life. That doesn't have to be your life. And we've also seen this play out in history, that just because you have a house doesn't mean you have a nest egg, doesn't mean you have the wealth that you thought you did. And it's a lot of work, so there's a lot less that I have to deal with. And I actually think I'm saving money when you factor in your mortgage and taxes and insurance and all the other home ownership costs. Some months I know I'm definitely spending less than I would have in my house. This concept of all these things that you need to have, you need to have a luxury car if it shows that you made it. You need to have an expensive purse, and you need to have all of these things. And I'll just say it was incredibly freeing to downsize. I realized I don't need all of those things. Proof to myself, I can not only live, but I can thrive on much less. So they're afraid of liquidating everything and, everything they've collected, and, it was so expensive. And if you do miss a thing, if you do think I cannot live without this, you can go buy it again. You're not moving to another planet. Yes, there's always something to replenish.
So take some small actions, do little micro tests, go away for a weekend, go away for a week, try it, rent an Airbnb in your own community or close by, see how it feels, get out of that bubble, try something that scares you. I imagine you might be a believer in the do something a day that scares you. Challenge those fears if they're real. Fear often, a lot of people say, is false evidence appearing real. It feels real at first, but it's really not. Thank you so much. I'm excited to follow your journey. It's been really fun following it so far. Every once in a while I send you messages like, where in the world is Julie B. Rose? Which is really fun. I'm going to keep doing that. So we're gonna put some links to your content so people can follow your journey. Any last 2 cents you want to offer before we wrap up?
Many of us are living for other people. And we're following this board game of, this is where you should go and what you should do and when you should do it, whether it's, your parents or your friends or your church or society. And it's not necessarily what you want deep within. And I think if we are allowed to write our own narratives, live life according to our own rules, you're going to find a lot more fulfillment than following in someone else's footsteps.
Well, we're dedicating today's episode to Tony Heisch, who just passed away. It was a Zappos founder. Epic example of a lot of us what we thought was a Zen hustler, had a lot of community and had a lot of innovative business mindset. And unfortunately, there's some tragedy coming out about who he was and what was behind him. So again, if you need support, there is support for people out there, whether it's, your mind going to dark places or drugs and alcohol or addiction. Please reach out to people in your life, because we're seeing a lot of mental health challenges arise through the pandemic. And so we just want to remind people that are watching this, please reach out to someone in your life or anonymously to hotlines to get help before it's too late, so we don't lose you and your gifts to the world. Thank you again, Julie. It's been a pleasure talking with you. If you have any questions about the work that we do, head over to zenhustlers.com. Feel free to reach out to us, join our community, and share with others that you feel like are seeking balance on the edge. All right, all. Thanks for today. Take care.